All right, and welcome back to the Prometheus Afterthoughts podcast, a CNC podcast. This is the podcast where we talk to the most recent boot, and unfortunately, Andrew, you were the last boot of the game. So yes, we are talking to Andrew today. So Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a fun ride watching over the last couple of months. I've very much enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching not just myself but other people, slowly deteriorate into like insanity. Basically, I think Colin said it during his exit interview that you just slowly watch yourself just become a crazy person, and those weren't the words he used, but it is true. And it's over the course of 2 days, so like it's insane to watch that much character development happen over 2 days.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I never, you never really know what you're going to get with these sort of things. And I imagine that's how pretty much any person who runs an org feels, especially in a minis fashion. Typically, in my experience with minis, I feel like most of the ones that I've seen or played in were like 6 hours long, and there's like generally speaking, like 15 boots. And so it's really crazy. There's really not a whole lot of time. Personally, a lot of prior connections end up dominating the game. And personally, to me, it's been no fun playing those types of games. So hopefully, I was able to provide you guys with a much different experience with the game itself and also the edit. So yeah, if you wanted to kind of speak on anything else, obviously you touched upon your experience a little bit, but your edit, what we might have addressed in the podcast, and maybe what other players may or may not have said about you.
All right, so the pre-merge went like edit wise, went pretty much how I thought it would. I did very much lay low during the pre-merge. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be friends with these people, not be the first person on anyone's radar, but like if we go to enough tribals, I might end up being one. And for some reason, so this at this point, this was like my 15th game, 14th or 15th game, and I had a lot of good luck with being on tribes that do pretty well in the pre-merge. So I was kind of banking on that. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll lose one, maybe two. And if that's the case, I won't be the target, the first two, but I could potentially be the target on the third one. And my goal is to never be a part of any big alliances at the beginning of the game, because I want to be best friends or second best friends with everyone in those big alliances, so that when they all decide, hey, we want to vote out somebody, no one wants to target me because they all think that I'm their secret. So that thankfully that didn't really happen. I was actually put into one of the big alliances, and it's funny because Joe asked me twice, I want to say, if I'm a part of the Alphabet Mafia, which I'm not. Spoilers. I'm not a part of the Alphabet Mafia, but I realized after the second time that Joe asked me that question, I'm like, oh, he's not paying attention to what I'm telling him. But I like Joe. Why is he not listening to this very basic thing about me? He might have to go later. But I was put into what I later found out was basically the Alphabet Mafia Alliance.
Would you mind, sorry to interrupt, shedding a little bit of light on that,
Yeah,
clarifying
so
the Alphabet Mafia?
it was LGBTQ plus alliance, and it was Colin, Anna, Joe,
And Kyle, I
myself.
believe, and you, yeah.
So we added Kyle to a different chat. So there's the five of us in one chat, and then there was the four of us in another chat, and then there was I think me, Colin, and Anna also had a chat, and just went down from there. And every time I was invited to another chat, I'm like, wow, these people really like me. And all the time I'm like, okay, if I can get not knowing what, I didn't know that Lauren was going to be playing. So when I saw her on screen during the marooning, we'll call it, I don't know what we called it on the show.
Dawning, yeah.
The dawning, okay. So during the dawning, I kind of just give this smirk of like, she probably knew that I was going to be playing this, because I did tell her I applied for it. And she never told me that, she never even told me this part. So when I saw her, I'm like, sneaky. But in my head, I said, well, if I can get to the merge with this person, I'll have my tribe plus her, and we can compare notes, and maybe we can do something. And that's exactly what happened. It was like, okay, as I kept getting put in these different chats on my original tribe, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. I'm probably safe, probably safe, probably safe. And then when the merge happens, it's like, okay, I'm going to run to this person and say, hey, this is what's been happening. What's happening on your end? And, that's when her and Carol were like, oh, we're on the bottom. What are we doing? It's like, David, cool. Mainly because, and it was no knock on David. I did enjoy talking to him when we merged. It was literally just, I don't know, weird feelings we had from day one with like, wow, this guy's really staying around after all this stuff. He probably needs to go because it means he's likable. Because in my head, that's how I perceived him. It was, David has to be likable, or else he clearly would have been voted on at some point during this pre-merge. And, getting to know him after the game, it is true. And he's a Kingdom Hearts fan. So like, special to my heart. But he had to go in that situation. So I don't know if that answered that question, but we'll go with it.
I don't even remember what the original question was.
Me either.
Yeah, I think it was answered because I don't really have a question about any of that.
My edit. It was my edit.
Yeah.
Pre-merge, yeah. I was invisible. I understood why I was invisible because I wasn't trying to do anything.
I personally don't think you were invisible, but I think you got your moments.
Okay, invisible to me. Like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I still got a lot of content. But I also knew what was to come, so I never. It's like, wow, they really screwed me on this, because I never felt like that. I felt like the content that I did give and that was shown, it's like, oh, that's what I was doing during this part of the game. And then when the merge hit, I got more and more content. It's like, yeah, because I was doing more and more. Like I had no issues with my edit, and I mean, I can't speak for everyone else, but I feel like everyone got a decent enough edit.
Yeah, no one was invisible.
Yeah, I should use a different phrasing, but yeah.
No one was invisible. I mean, even the first boot, tried to give him as much content as I possibly could. Because in addition to trying to effectively tell the story, I did want to, be fair, especially for the first season, and making sure people got their time. But you know what, honestly, and it's kind of tragic. But one of my favorite confessionals of day one is actually your confessional that sort of foreshadows your boot from the game. I don't know if you remember this, but you have a confessional after the Icarus challenge, which was the puzzle relay, in which you say that, man, you say something along the lines of like, man, if there's another puzzle challenge, I don't think I'm going to do that well. And lo and behold, the next puzzle. So I don't know if anyone caught that. Obviously, the audience wouldn't know that, but in terms of the cast, I don't know if anyone actually caught that. That I was trying to put a little foreshadowing in there. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, something that, for the audience who are listening in on this right now, I actually just finished with Kyle doing his exit or Afterthoughts podcast. So I won't really go into it because you're just going to see it again when you guys watch Kyle's. But, I got to be honest, when we were filming the game, in my mind, from what I knew, I actually thought Lauren freaking bulldozed you all. I didn't necessarily think
she did. She did.
I personally wouldn't actually say it like that, because my thing is like, I didn't think that none of you guys were not playing. I knew all you guys were playing, and I could see what was happening, but because I'm got a million things to do, I don't have time to actually watch the confessionals as the games are unfolding, and this, that, and the other. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, Lauren bulldozed them. But then after the game was over, because I have to watch all the raw footage, I have to properly label everything, because obviously they just have generic names. And the two people that I think I was most, kind of surprised about was you and Kyle. Because Kyle, well, you guys can watch Kyle's and you hear what I say about Kyle's. But for yours, I did not realize that you were the orchestrator for a number of those votes at the merge. I did not know that. You played it off so freaking well. You truly, and I think, for your award, one of your awards was the Ember Player of the Season. That was deserved, truly deserved. You played a fucking fantastic game, truly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't remember what my point was about bringing that up. But yes, I mean, you played a great game.
And
I
I'll
don't
say
remember what I was going to
this,
say.
well, no, and I'll say this, and so I joined the org community in January of 2020, and like I said, up to this point, I've played 17 now. I'm currently in my 18th game. I just got back into the community like last week, but when I first joined the community, I wanted to portray myself as like this aw shucks, oh man, just happy to be here. And that's not too far off from how I actually am, but I also have a lot of charisma, which I feel like I have to tone down a lot in these games because I don't want people to see me as Colin or Joe or any of these other people where it's like, wow, these people are really likable. I always want to be the second or third most likable person at any one point because people target you for being likable. And that's why I did target Colin and Caitlin, among other people, because I like them and I feel like I have a good judge of character. So if I like these people, it means that other people probably like these people. So I do think, and this is not a gloating thing, and I hope people don't think it that way. I do feel like I played a pretty good game as far as my perceptions of like, because even watching you guys' the recap, I think that episode's recap you did it with Alex, I might be wrong, where it's like, wow, they got rid of Caitlin, that's weird. It's like, well, no, because Caitlin is, it was very clear. And I loved watching the edit because it's like, wow, Caitlin is actually playing a very good game, and I'm so glad that I decided to target her at that point, because I do feel like if she had sat at the end, she would have been able to convince enough people to vote for her to win. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I played a good game, but like we all said during the season, it almost feels like you took the 14 best social people that have ever existed and put them in one game and said, hey, fight it out, no idols, and just go. But having said all that, I do feel like Lauren did almost steamroll it despite that, because as Colin mentioned during his exit interview, we probably still should have gotten rid of her early. Not that it really matters, because no matter who I'm at the Final Four with, I'm always going to lose the puzzle challenge. So it does not matter.
Yeah, which I've had, for the most part, I've had people say that they liked that you have to battle your way into the final three. Kind of puts,
I liked it, yeah.
It kind of puts,
that was the puzzle.
Yeah, it kind of puts everyone on an even ground. But I've also had a couple people that said they didn't particularly like that. Not that I exactly have a bias, but I think the thing that upsets me is that it happened to you. I feel bad because also you didn't even get a chance to finish the puzzle.
That shit puzzles.
But yeah, I mean, there was a couple times where I thought, Andrew's really close to getting it, but then something happened and you just like really re-scrambled it.
I was never actually close to getting it. Even if on screen it looked like I was close, I had no idea. I was literally sitting there trying to get myself to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't going to sit at the final three, while also moving puzzle pieces around so I wouldn't just have an actual freak out on camera of like, I can't believe it's come to this point. And I had like my exit interview, or my exit confessional was basically that. It was like, I don't know. But during the challenge, I was just trying to talk myself into not losing my mind on camera, because I can't do a fucking side puzzle, but it's fine. It's all right. I realize that, it's a part of the game. Whatever's thrown at us, we have to face, and if we can't do it, it's our own fault.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is the way to blankly put it, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, I could Oh man, I just could see the disappointment and frustration on your face, and it
There were
definitely
tears.
it sucked.
There were tears.
I don't think the cameras ever caught the actual tears. But yeah, I mean, I could tell, and I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not only in that moment, but even still to this day, that was your highest placement. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, I don't think you ever did
No,
well with
so after
minis.
that game I played, oh, I have to keep my mouth shut on one of them, but I played in 3 or 4 games after that, including a live game, which is the one I had to keep my mouth quiet about. But the other 3 games, my highest placement ended up being fifth. And once again, it was like I got taken out because I had a good story. If I had gotten to the end, and like I love that you kept the confessional about Kara at the last episode, where Kara's saying, "Oh yeah, Andrew's not strategic." And I'm like, good. I want people to think that enough. Like I didn't want it to be to that point where she still thought it at Final Four, but I wanted people to think that enough that when I went into Final Tribal, I can say, "Hey, this is exactly how everything went down. You can believe it or not, but this is how I perceive the situation to be going." And the on the cutting room floor episodes you put out yesterday, spoilers for when we're filming this, and I get there and I say, "Hey, this is exactly how the merge went down." That was basically my Final Tribal speech, almost verbatim. It's like, "Hey, this is how this happened. This is how you went home. This is how you went home. I wasn't a part of this one, but Anna, I really didn't want you to go. This, that, and the other." And I was going to lay it out there, and people would just have to pick if they believed my narrative or if they believed somebody else's. If they believe somebody else's, more power to those two people. But I don't want to be perceived as a strategic threat or a social threat or whatever, because that's how people get targeted.
Absolutely. And I think, going back to the podcast with Alex, I did say that I think you were playing a really, really strong middle game. If it was any stronger, then it wouldn't be a middle game. You'd be a straight up power, the perceived power player. But personally, in my opinion, in pretty much most reality competitions or even orgs or whatever you want to say, the middle game is the best game. That's just my opinion. And once again, I think you played a very, very strong middle game.
Yes. And I mean, this is my first Survivor reference, and I don't know how long we're into the podcast at this point, but people like shit. Jeremy Collins is a prime example. And I won't say that I used like the shield method in this game, even though my shield was Lauren and Colin. But Jeremy Collins is a prime example of someone that, like, you never really hear about people wanted to get rid of him during second chances, but it's also clear that he's playing a good to great game, so that when he wins, it's like, wow, it's not how did he win, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of what I was trying to emulate with this one. It's like, yeah, if I'm good with all the power players, so Caro, Lauren, Colin, even Kyle, Anna, like all these people, Joe, if I'm at least good with them, and I know they're all still targeting each other because they all see each other as threats, then I'm just going to be, I'm going to sit there and, say subtle things like, "Hey, yeah, who do you think is a challenge threat?" Knowing full well, I know who I want. Or who do you think is going to have a lot of charisma at the end of the game? Oh, this person? Okay, I guess we could go this. How do you feel about this person? Knowing that I don't actually want to vote for this person, I want to vote for this person. And like I mentioned during the reunion, I plan on doing that exact same thing at Final Four if there was a vote to get rid of Lauren, because I do think that me, Caro, and Kyle, I feel like the three of us would have split the votes. I don't know. I can't say down the middle because there's only 5 votes. But I do feel like the three of us would have split votes. But I knew that my best chance, based off of how the 2 days were going, I had to get rid of Lauren, knowing full well that she, in those 2 days, was a better speaker than I was at that point. And that's why I got rid of Colin, because I'm not very arrogant about a lot of things. I'm arrogant about my trivia knowledge. I'm arrogant about being the world's best wingman, God's gift wingman, for everyone out there. And I'm arrogant about my, I'm a really good speaker. But during those 2 days, Colin was a better speaker than me. Lauren was a better speaker than me. Colin had to go. And I felt bad after every single vote out, because this was the first time I played a game where I'm like, I'm just going to turn my emotions off on camera with these people and say, hey, I'll tip my hat to you. I hope you don't hate me after the game, but I need this win. And, because I've played a lot of games in the past where it's like, I am aligned with the person that was probably going to win, and I would just hang around with them because, loyalty, like what Lauren called me out for at Final Tribal. And I didn't want to play like that this time. I wanted to say, hey, you know what? This is my best chance at finally doing this. And, I'm so thankful that you didn't put any of my vote out confessionals in any episode. In any episode, my vote out confessionals.
Really?
Yes. And I was thankful for it, because in every single one, I'd be like, I hate this, but you gotta, especially with the Anna ones, like I really hate this, but like you have to go, or like I need to win this. And I kept saying that I need to win this game. And I'm thankful that I got as far as I did, and I did as much as I could to get to that point. And I am not bitter, and I wasn't bitter at all with the challenge. It was just like I keep saying, it was my own fault for not preparing for anything that could be thrown at us. Because I prepared for trivia, I prepared for other things, but I didn't prepare for something that is in most games. It's a fucking slide puzzle. So sorry for that rant, everyone. But
Oh, you're perfectly fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to hear you rant, But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean the whole puzzle thing still just really sucks. But as for the, voting confessionals though, I'll be honest, I actually did not think or take note of that you never got one.
there might be one. There's been a while since I've seen like the pre-merge ones, but
the thing about it is I think you're actually right. But I will say though, there are a number of voting confessionals from many players where they kind of speak in absolutes. And that was something I was trying to avoid, because if you speak in absolutes, then it's kind of like, well, we know what the vote's going to be, which scared me for a number of times when I was editing, because I had no clue how people were going to perceive the edit. And I wanted to try and be misleading without changing the narrative. But
you were very good with that. I had a couple friends watching the season and didn't tell them anything about it. And my friend that I was watching it with during the finale, he thought it was going to be me or Lauren. And I kept my mouth shut. I'm like, and so earlier in the day, he'd seen me and he was like, hey, good luck tonight. So I go, no, we can watch it live together. So we watched it. And the only spoiler I gave him is, like I said, mentioned during the reunion, said, hey, just watch my face when Casey announces it's going to be a puzzle. And like I said, during the reunion, he didn't have to, because it cuts to my face. And it's just like, oh man, the dread of, you're fucked in this situation and you just have to deal with it. But I loved this. I've told you enough times at this point, I've loved this season from beginning to end. I think it was a very well put together cast and show. After we're done, I do want to get details on the music that was playing, especially in the last two episodes and the last on the cutting room floor one, because it's good music, whoever put that out. But yeah, this was an amazing experience. Definitely top 2 org experiences I've ever had. And I've played 18 games in 12-month gap. So
well, I'll take it. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate all the compliments. But yeah, I'll take top 2. I'll definitely take that. But I guess on that note, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to speak on before we end this?
Yeah. I hate being preachy, but I'm a big advocate of the social game, as everyone knows. And I think that this season fully pushes the narrative that you don't need idols, and you don't need advantages, and you don't need anything else other than 14 in this case, but 16, 18, 20, whatever people just talking, and we'll find out who the best talkers. We'll find out who the best swayer is. All of that. And yes, challenges will come and go, and maybe someone gets voted out because of their challenge prowess. Joey Amazing, but it all comes down to, it's a social strategic game, not a strategic social game. And I felt like this is the best game I played in when it comes to the social game, 100%. No top two or anything about that. This is the best social game that I've ever been a part of. And I think that you saw that, you saw in my my winning confessional where I said I thought I knew who I was voting for, but the three of them furthered that narrative that, like, as long as you know how to talk to people, you have a good chance at winning. And I've only seen Carol and Lauren since our season ended, like in person, and I've told them the exact same thing. It's like I felt like they both did amazing. When we did that touchy subjects challenge, and Carol was accused of being a coattail rider, and I think it was even showed up in the episode where I was like, I think it's bullshit. I think that Carol's doing just as Lauren is. It's just that Lauren's being a lot more assertive in person, but like I saw that Carol's doing a lot. I saw that Caitlin was doing a lot. And I think that all of these people in different games, and I say that, but like poor Anna with Caitlin's game, and God. I think that all of us have a potential of doing well in games where it's formatted like this, without the silly idols and extra votes and all of this crazy shit. Just let us socialize and see who the best socializer is. Period.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I completely agree with you. So we'll have to see what season 2 is like moving forward. But yeah,
he introduces all these idols and at the end he's like, oh, fuck Andrew.
No, definitely not. Definitely
this is the
not.
Fuck Andrew advantage. You get 5 votes. You can put them whoever you want. And
yeah, I am, as I think I have said plenty of times, not a big fan of idols and advantages myself. But yeah. But anyway, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Of course. And thank you for everyone who's listening in. If you can, like, comment, and subscribe to Casey Needs a Co-host, that'd be greatly appreciated. And on that note, have a good night, guys.